Welcome back again today. The story of the Aboriginal Tasmanians begins over 40,000 years ago, but their roots trace back even further. Like all modern humans, their distant ancestors came from Africa, and they actually moved further through Australia, Tasmania, and Papua New Guinea before Asians and Europeans were even existing. So it was sort of like a blitz migration where they kept moving further and further faster away, and they broke off from other original humans. Their distant ancestors came from Africa as part of one of the first waves of human migration out of the continent around 60 to 70,000 years ago, with a lot of their cultures in this region of Australia, Tasmania, and Papua New Guinea being around 50,000 years old. These early humans spread across the globe, eventually reaching Southeast Asia and then moving south into what was the single landmass known as the Sahel. Sahel included present-day Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea, all connected by land bridges during the Ice Age when sea levels were much lower, but there was also parts of ocean and certain areas they would have to go over water. It wasn't exactly 100% landmass. There were some distances where there was water in between. The ancestors of the Aboriginal Australians, including the people who would become Aboriginal Tasmanians, arrived in the region over 50,000 years ago, making them among the first humans to settle in what is now Australia. For tens of thousands of years, Aboriginal groups lived across the continent, including the land that would later become Tasmania. At that time, Tasmania was not an island, but it was part of the mainland. People moved freely between regions, trading, sharing knowledge, and living off the land. But as the mainland started to flood, there was a separation between the peoples. This created the Bass Strait, cutting Tasmania off and isolating its indigenous people from the rest of the continent. As a result, the Aboriginal Tasmanians lived in complete separation from other human populations for thousands of years. Over time, they developed their own distinct languages, customs, technologies, and social structures unique to the island environment. In traditional times, Aboriginal Tasmanians lived in semi-nomadic bands, each with its own defined territory. These groups moved throughout the landscape depending on the season, following food sources and returning to important sites year after year. Daily life was centered on a natural cycle of the land. Men and women had different roles but worked together to provide for the group. Men focused on hunting kangaroo, wallaby, possums, birds, and occasionally seals using spears, clubs, and stone tools. Women collected shellfish, roots, berries, and edible plants by the way of digging and using woven baskets. Along the coast, fishing and collecting marine foods were especially important. Aboriginal Tasmanians were skilled at reading the environment and understanding the signs of weather, tides, and animal behavior. They also used fire as a land management tool, setting small, controlled burns to encourage new growth, attract animals, and maintain open hunting grounds. This practice, often called cultural burning, helped shape Tasmania's landscapes over thousands of years. Shelters were built from materials found in the environment, mainly bark, leaves, and branches, suited to the weather and the terrain. In colder regions, people wore cloaks made from animal skins to stay warm. Every tool and item used in daily life was made with care and passed down through generations. Social life was built around kinship and strong connections to the land. Each group had spiritual and ancestral ties to specific places, and people understood their responsibilities to those lands. Ceremonies, songs, dances, and storytelling were essential for passing on knowledge and maintaining traditions. These practices also link people with the dreaming, and dreaming is a spiritual understanding of the world, its creation, and the laws that govern life. Elders played a vital role in teaching younger generations and ensuring that cultural knowledge was preserved. Artistic expression could be seen in body painting, rock carvings, and the creation of intricate shell necklaces, especially by Aboriginal women. Up to 12 different language or dialects were originally spoken, but due to colonization, many of these languages would disappear. Now communities are working to revive a new unified language known as, and excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, Palawa Kani, which draws from historical records, word lists, and oral traditions. Language is central to cultural identity, and reviving it has become an important part of reconnecting with heritage and strengthening the community. The arrival of the British in the early 1800s changed life dramatically. Colonialists brought with them new diseases, weapons, and ideas about land ownership that clashed with the indigenous ways of life. As more European settlers arrived, Tasmanians were pushed off their land, leading to a period of violent conflict now known as the Black War. Aboriginal resistance was met with force, and many people were killed or displaced. In an attempt to reduce tensions, missionary George Augustus Robinson led a series of friendly missions to persuade Aboriginal groups to relocate to Flinders Island. Flinders Island is located off the northeast coast of Tasmania. There, conditions were harsh with inadequate food, unfamiliar surroundings, and high rates of illness, in which many would die. By the late 1800s, colonial society declared that Aboriginal Tasmanians were extinct. The death of, and I'm going to try to pronounce this, I apologize if I get it wrong, Lutruwita in 1876, often described as the last full-blooded Tasmanian Aboriginal, became symbolic of this false narrative. But in reality, many Aboriginal Tasmanians survived through mixed heritage and hidden identities. Food has always played a central role in the culture, and traditional diets were highly nutritious and carefully adapted to local environment. Along the coast, seafood such as mussels, oysters, abalone, fish, and seal provided essential protein and fats. Inland, people hunted kangaroo, wallaby, birds, and other native animals. Plants like yams, grass seeds, and berries were gathered seasonally. People would also use earth ovens to cook meat and root vegetables, and they dried and stored food for future use. Evidence of long-term coastal living can still be seen in shell maidens. And this is large mounds of shells and bones that show where people camped and ate over generations. Today, the people live in both urban and rural settings. Many live in cities such as Hobart, where they participate in everyday modern life and attend schools and universities, work in a wide range of jobs, and engage in community activism. But many things still need to improve in the community, such as economic disadvantages and health disparities. Organizations such as the Tasmanian Aboriginal Center, or TAC, work to support communities through healthcare, education, cultural programs, and legal advocacy. In traditional settings, The people continue to practice their culture and maintain their connection to the land. Some areas of cultural significance have also been returned to the people, such as Risdon Cove. On these lands, people teach bush survival skills, practice traditional crafts, and carry out cultural burning. Children learn about their ancestors, language, and stories as well, and shell necklace making, once passed from mother to daughter, is now being taught in schools and community centers. Please like and subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you get all my videos. Add me on all social medias as well. And until next time, peace, one love.
So catch me if I fall.